are recording this session. So this session is being recorded. You'll get an email copy of it after it renders. It will be sometime this morning. It usually takes about 30 to 40 minutes to render, and then I'll email it out. It will also be posted on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. I will post those links at the end of the session in the chat box. But where we're going to start today is actually within your IQ office, and we're really going to talk about how to follow up with your clients in the best fashion, and also how to create action plans so you're not just creating a list of things you need to do every day. So as we start, how many of you have a list or a way that you know and set up to follow up with potential leads, past clients, your sphere of influence? And how many of you have a plan? You have a plan, you know when you need to call them, you have a frequency set up. So JR does, Margaret does. Awesome. Pam, Victoria, Lindsay, do you guys have plans that you're working, or do you just kind of follow up with people when you'd like to follow up or when you remember to follow up? Awesome, Lindsay. We're going to talk about that as well today. Okay. Awesome. So the hardest thing, and we all know the statistic that's out there that says something like 88% of agents say that they will use their agent again, and only 22% of them do, right? We all know that statistic. So how do we stay top of mind for a long time and make our life easier? Ken, I'm not sure what you mean by basic. Maybe just you have a basic checklist. And what the goal of an action plan is that you can actually go in and you can your company may have some basic action plans set up for you, but you can actually go in and you can also create your own action plan. So where we're going to do that and begin today is we're going to do this underneath that tools and preferences boxes. And then there is a section that says my action plans. So when you click on that, it actually is going to open up your action plan dashboard, and we're going to create a new action plan. So to do that, you're going to click plus new in the upper right-hand corner. And the first thing you're going to do is name your action plan name. So we're going to name this, maybe this is an open house potential. And the action plan type is either contacts or listing. If it's an action plan that applies to a person, it's going to be a contacts or leads action plan. Underneath here is this disable on contact reply. Don't worry about that. That's a coming soon feature. And then we're going to click save. Once you do that, you now have your edit action plan screen. So you're going to go ahead and we're going to start adding items to this action plan. So the first thing that can happen is an automatic system email. So an automatic system email means the system automatically emails out for you. This may be the welcome to your portal email. You're going to put in the subject of the email. And you're going to choose when you want it to send out. So how many days after you add someone to this action plan would you like it to send out? And you're also going to choose how many minutes. So if I say, hey, I want this to send out, but I want it to look like, hey, I'm talking to Ken, we're having a conversation, I go start a portal. I don't want it to send right away because then it looks automated. I want it to actually send about 30 minutes after I add them to the action plan. And I want it to send from me, the owner of the lead, not from the system. So you can have it send through IQ Office. If you're on a team, you can have it send from the designated person on your team by choosing agent. And I'm going to click owner and I'm going to click contact lead. Now, here is something that's really cool when you're thinking about automatic system emails is if you're a team leader or an admin, you can actually use this to email out to your agents. So you could have an action plan where the first email that went out, I'm going to get to your question, JR. The first email that went out said, okay, so Lindsay is the admin and Ken is an agent in her office. And a lead comes in from the website. And the first thing on that action plan is going to be an automatic email from maybe the system, or the owner of the lead would be the company. And it's going to go to the owner of the lead agent. And so that would be to Ken. And it's going to say, hey, Ken, you have a new lead that came in. Don't forget to go in and update the status of the lead so that you're making sure you know what the status is, or the status is changed from new to whatever it is so that it's on the right action plan. So as an admin, you can actually go in and choose how that works. The owner, when I say send from the owner, so the owner of the lead can either be it's the person who owns the contact. So if the lead comes into JR, but JR is the leader of the team and JR assigns it to Donna, Donna would be the assigned agent and JR would be the owner. Or if JR puts in a contact and he owns the contact and he's sharing his contacts with Donna, he can actually say, it's going to send from me, but she can have access to it. Does that answer your question, JR? Perfect. So I'm going to send it from the owner of the lead. I'm going to send it to the contact. And now I'm going to search for the content. So I can type my content in here by using my keyboard, or I can click the magnifying glass on the right-hand side of the screen. When I do that, it's going to bring up all of the content that I have created. I will spend a little bit of time on how you do this today, but I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to use my 2019 portal email, and I'm going to click save. Now I have one action item in that plan. You can add as many things on as many days as you would like. So if you click plus again, you can say, hey, I want to do a follow-up request. This is a weekly check-in. Check-in point, I can say open house clients. Check in weekly. And I am going to have this be due after 7 days. I do not want to blacklist myself, so I don't want to take myself out of lead routing if it doesn't happen. I do want it to repeat. I want it to repeat every 7 days, and I want it to repeat 10 times. I want to be notified the same day, and I do want it to be required, so I can't snooze or dismiss that requirement. And then I can click save. So now I've got something on the first day, I've got something on day 7, and it repeats, and I can keep building. I can have them added to a campaign. And I want that to happen immediately, and I can actually choose from all of my email campaigns and my company email campaigns that I've got here. So I could say, okay, I'm going to add them to the local events calendar. And the last thing you can do is have it send a survey. So if this is an open house client, you could actually say open house survey. And I want it to be due 1 day after. I want it to send 30 minutes after. I want to send the survey to the contact or the lead. And I want it to be the open house feedback survey. So are there any questions so far on what types of items these are and how you would assign the days? Again, to get to this screen, we went from tools and preferences, we went to my action plans, and we clicked plus new in the upper right-hand corner, and we built this plan. And now I can see here's the things that I have going on. Any questions? Are we good to move forward? Perfect. Margaret's good. Jim, Shawnee, Donna's good to move on. I do want to encourage you, Trish and Sam and Chris, if you have any questions, I do want to make sure you get them answered. Awesome. So the next thing I'm going to do is just briefly go through how you can do a listing action plan. So same idea, I'm going to click new plan, and I'm going to say reduced listing. And I'm going to add that action plan type as a listing action plan and click save. Again, you add items individually. No worries, Sam. You add items individually and you have a lot of the similar choices. So you have an automatic system email, a follow-up request, an add to campaign, or a send survey. But when you're working an action plan for a listing, and again, this action plan is for a listing, not for a seller. So these are the things you need to do for a listing, like make sure the sign is up, test the IQ voice number, email, set up the seller reports, order your postcards, put your video tour on, set your showing preferences. So I can actually go in, I can say, hey, I'm going to order a marketing item. This is going to be just the price reduced order. I want it to be due 1 day after this, and do I want it to be visible to the seller? Yes or no in their seller portal. And can I snooze it? I'm going to click save. I can go in and I can continue to build. So a social share, I can say, okay, I want to share this on Facebook. Share, I want actually this to happen on the same day. Yes, it's visible to the seller in their portal. So I can continue adding these action items, seller reports, showing preferences, add a website URL, or share that website URL, a video tour and a virtual tour. It's all right here. You just continue adding those items and then you click save to make sure your plan saves, and you have an additional action plan. On this side, it's going to show the type. So you can actually see a contact listing plan versus a listing action plan. Now, what's really, really neat, and we're going to go through a couple of these things, is I can actually go into my profile and I can say, underneath my preferences, I can say, I need some default action plans. So when I have a new listing, I'm going to have this action plan automatically selected. When I have a price reduction come through, I am going to have my price reduction action plan automatically applied. When I have a new lead come in from my website or my company website, I want this action plan to be automatically applied. So I can go and I can say, okay, I actually would like it to be this open house potential. So you can use your company action plans here, or you can use your own personal action plans here, and they will automatically attach for you. The nice thing about that is, if Jim takes 4 new listings in a day, he doesn't have to remember to go in and assign an action plan to each listing. He can actually just know that it's automatically going to happen. And then as that's applied, all of his to-do items are going to show right here on his to-do list. So it's going to say, this is what you have to do and what's going on. Instead of having a checklist on a piece of paper that's pegged up to your corkboard behind your desk saying, hey, these are the 5 things that I have to do. Can you preview it? So just a couple of questions here. Can you preview what you are sending a client? JR, you can. So you can actually create all your own marketing emails. And I like to create my own content when I'm applying it to an action plan. You do that by going to the marketing tab, and you can actually go into my saved content and create, you can actually go in and say, hey, I'm going to add content. Hang tight while it pulls up. I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to create content. I need to create a welcome email. You can use any of these templates. You can also use, your company will have some templates. I'm actually in my live company template right now. So these are the templates that my company has to offer. I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to use realistic templates. I need a welcome letter. So I'm going to choose from the category, and I'm going to go down to letters. And I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to use this. active seller, and I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to use this new lead select, and I can type it all in. And then what I do is when I'm in my action plans, sorry, I'm clicking fast here. So if I go tools, action plans, and I want to add that letter to my open house potential, I can actually say, okay, I need to add it as an auto email. I'm going to search for my content, and then I can see, okay, here is that content that I just created, and save it. Your to-do list, so Sam asked, and he found it, but I do want to make sure I point it out to everyone. So right here on your home screen is your to-do list. So I can actually see your list will populate here. Let's actually just add a follow-up really quick to a client. So everything on those action tabs as it's ready will show right here in your action, in your to-do list, so that you are working your plan. Your listing actions show up here, your customer actions show up here, so that when you're logging in, you're not having to go in and go to your contacts and go to each contact and see what's happening, or go to your phone and go through your contacts list and say, okay, I haven't talked to JR in a while. I haven't talked to Sam in a while. I haven't talked to Jim in a while. I did talk to Shawnee the other week, so I don't think I need to call her, and making a manual list of what you need to do. It's all going to populate right here. So now you're working your plan instead of going through and trying to figure out everything that you need to do every day. The other thing that's really cool is anytime your contacts have any activity. So if they are opening your emails or looking at websites, you can actually see that change in behavior right here on your main dashboard as a recent contact activity. So maybe there's not a to-do for item for them here, but I can see that John Spears actually opened an email on last Friday at 10:14 a.m. So I can actually go in and I could say, okay, John opened that. I need to just add a manual follow-up. So I can say, I'm going to follow up with John. This is just a week check-in. And I want that to be due maybe this Thursday, and I can save it. If you need to manually add action plans, so I can actually go in, and any contact that doesn't have an action plan is going to have this blue bar across the top. And I can actually go in and I can assign an action plan, and I can see all the steps in that action plan. It is in development to have a preview button. That is not here yet. That's something that's coming. But I could actually go in and I could say, okay, I'm going to add this to him to maybe this open house potential campaign. And then I'm going to click save at the bottom. And now that blue bar goes away. I can also, on the actions tab, see everything that's happened. So I can see that I've got a weekly check-in point that's pending. I've got an open house survey that's going to go out. Anything that's automatic doesn't have a date associated with it, but it will also show me everything that's happened. So I can see that a welcome portal's already gone out. It's automatically created an email campaign, and I've already completed a biweekly check-in. If I need to edit any of these actions as well, I can go in and I can edit this and say, okay, open house survey, that's great. I'm going to send survey. I don't need to change that. I can also say, hey, I don't want this action associated with this person. And I actually already sent a portal email, so I can delete that as well. That changes this action plan for this client only, not your overall action plan. Does that make sense to everybody? Cool. So now when I'm on my home page, I can actually see everything that's happening. I can see the manual follow-up that I added. I can see that I have a weekly check-in point added, and all my to-do list just populates itself. So instead of having to go in and create 1,000 Post-it notes of what needs to be done, I can actually work this plan here. Now, I do want to just quick pull up another site. Give me just a quick minute here to get logged in. So this is another site because I know I have a bunch of admins on the call as well. And I just want to quickly show you because this is a new release and I'm actually making all the training videos for it today. But as an admin, you're going to access your company action plans by going to admin action plans here. And this is where you can actually create a company-wide action plan. And as an administrator or a staff person, you also have the ability to have an agent action plan. So that when you're onboarding a new agent, you can actually go in and you can add a lot of different things to that. So you can have an automatic system that goes, or email that goes out, a text that goes out. You can add them to a follow-up request so that you're making sure things are done. So you can actually put your new agent checklist in here as well if you are an office admin. Questions so far? Yeah, no, I knew you'd be excited about that, Margaret. I actually saw you on the call and I thought, oh, Margaret's going to be so happy. So now you have a place to put your checklist digitally. At the beginning, I know that you all saw, I was sharing a flyer with you. So I'm just going to share this flyer really quick. When you get a new listing, this email is automatically generated and sent to you. So you automatically are getting this email. It makes sense to me that this is a great alert that you've got a new listing and it's live, but it also is a great way to know that when you go in and you're looking, your listing is in that you now have action items that are attached. And again, you do that by going to your profile and choosing your default listing. You also, though, can choose your default property flyer right above that. And so you're not having to necessarily edit from that flyer. It's all just happening. You can go in, I can say, hey, my default just listed property flyer is going to be, maybe it's going to be this just listed flyer black. So we're about 23 minutes in. It's a lot. Anna, what company are you with? Let me find out, Anna. I'll look into that today. I'm writing your name down as we speak. Anna, Sam Williams is also, okay. Sam at your company said that he's getting them and to check your junk mail. Yes, Jennifer, when you get that email, so when you get that automatic email, like it looks similar to this. It's been updated since this one out, but you can actually download your flyer right here and email it out. You also automatically get links to share this on your Facebook, your Twitter. You can view the website to share it on social, maybe. I'm going to look, Anna. And so, Jennifer, you can actually go in and schedule your posts for social media from that email. But you can't post a PDF to social media. How do you find that email, Jennifer? Those just automatically go out as from IQ Office. So I'm actually going to find out if that's something that we do for you. It's not something you have to set up. I saw that, Lindsay. I've got you on my list too. Cool. So we've spent about 25 minutes. The next part of this, many of you know because it's that time of the webinar. So how many of you have created actually your checklist for new buyer, new seller, past seller, past buyer, sphere of influence, have actually created those checklists for your contact types? Margaret has one for new agents, which is important because that's her role. Cool. So Sam's going to do a past customer. If you don't go to your calendar right now and schedule some time to do this, to actually go in and create your own action plans. JR, that's a great portion. So JR says he hasn't created those checklists. He's just farming the community, which is awesome. But what are you going to do when someone responds to your farm? So, hey, Jim's getting your postcards and your open houses and he calls you. What are you going to do? You need to make that list. So what I prefer to do, because I still do love pen and paper, is I like to manually write down my list. Okay, I'm farming. When someone comes in from the farm, I'm going to do this. I'm going to set them up on a portal. I'm going to send them, maybe I'm going to send them a weekly email, or I'm going to call them weekly. I'm going to add them to a company newsletter campaign. These are the 5 things I'm going to do. One of them is a follow-up voice-to-voice phone call or texting or social media follow-up. It's a real life follow-up. And I am going to have that action plan ready. So your goal is sometime this week to get into your IQ office and start building those plans. And you would like to, what I'd like to see is have you build 3 plans. And I'm going to type these plans in the chat box as we talk. So I would like you to do your sphere of influence plan. I would like you to do your prospecting plan. And I would like you to do a new listing plan. So you're actually going to go in, you're going to create a sphere of influence plan, a prospecting plan, so a hot new prospect, and a new listing plan, so that you have 3 action plans that are customized to you and how you do business. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. I can actually share it. I'm just chatting. I put it in the chat box. So that you can actually go in and say, okay, in my tools and preferences, I've got action plans. I've got a new listing action plan. I've also got a prospecting action plan. Prospecting. It's for contacts and leads. And I also am going to have a sphere of influence or circle of influence. And I'd like you to go in and add at least 3 items to each of these. You're going to go to tools and then my action plans. And then you can build a bunch of action plans in here. So there's no limit to the number of action plans that you have. The nice thing is they're interval plans, so that if I add Sam to a plan and then 5 days later add Anna to a plan, they're both going to get the same information, and the system's going to be smart enough to know, okay, this is happening on day 1, day 2, day 3, but Anna's day 1, day 2, day 3 are different dates. So my to-do list is automatically creating my to-do list here for myself, so that I don't have to create my to-do list every day of who I'm checking in with and what I'm doing. I simply can go in and know that I've got stuff to do. I'm getting it done. I'm adding my new contacts in and attaching them to an action plan. So say I get a new contact over the weekend. I go into my customer relations. I add them. And I go in, I say, okay, I've added them in. Every time I add something in, I'm going to go in, I'm going to assign them to an action plan. Okay, this person's going on this action plan, and now I'm working my plan. I'm not having to go in and manually add a whole bunch of check-in points. I'm going in, I see my plan, I know what's happening in the next 14 days or 7 days or just today that I have to get done, and we're doing it. Yes, you can. So Sam asked a really good question about contact types. So within here, I can actually go in and there's a whole bunch of contact types on the right-hand side. You can add contact types here. So I can actually say, hey, I need to add a webinar test contact type. And if you don't want contact types in here, you can actually delete that contact type. If you need to add multiple people to a contact type at the same time, you can actually say, okay, I'm going to click on, I'm actually going to go into my contacts here. I'm going to click on this test client, and I'm going to click on this person, and I can actually add them to a contact type right there. So you can edit those contact types again from within the contact type screen here. You also can go into customer relations and go to my manage contact types here and see it. No, not yet, Chris, but that is coming. So that you could actually add their image here. Right now, this image is pulling from social media. So right now I can see here there's no image. That's something that's coming. Sam, I need a little bit more clarification in your question. Great questions, guys. And please feel free to ask. We've kind of gotten contract photos. No, so if there's a social media profile attached to this email, it will pull a social media profile. However, if there's not, then there's no other place to add that. You could add it underneath attachments. You could upload a file here, but it's not, there isn't a place to upload an image on this main detail. Auto pull all of them one shot. Like, so when you put someone in your social media, it's reaching out and trying to find them on social media. But if this email isn't associated with their social profile, it's not going to connect. But it's out there searching as long as that email is what's connected. Does that answer your question? Awesome. So a couple things. Chris, that will be released by the end of this year. That was so good. Such a good transition. So Chris asked, do action items sync with your Google Calendar, or is it only in your IQ Office? At this time, it's only in your IQ Office. However, by the end of 2019, we will be having a Google Calendar and an Outlook calendar sync so that your calendar items will sync from your IQ Office to your actual calendar, which is huge. It's a really big deal to have that happen. It makes all of our lives easier because then it's all in one place. The other thing that that's coming too. So it'll be Sam and Chris, it's going to be both. So calendar items and your contact sync, you're going to be able to choose that. The other thing you can do is you can actually go into your to-do/calendar and you can add events. So I can actually go in, I can add an event to my default calendar. I can say maybe this is my haircut. I can add a location. And I can choose a date and a time. It's not an all-day reminder. I do want a text message reminder. Yes, I want it an hour ahead of time. And now that haircut is added to my main calendar. It's also on my main to-do. So that's coming. There's a lot of information out there. So this is being recorded. You're going to get a copy of this email, but I also want to just encourage you, if you haven't joined us, I would love to have you join us on our Facebook page. This is what it looks like. It's called Realistic Users. We would love to have you be a part of this so that you can ask questions and share best practices, and we can get you really good information and answers. There's also a YouTube channel. And that YouTube channel is a really good resource because then you can actually go in and search for videos. So Facebook doesn't support a search function, but I can actually click search. I can click in action, and I can see all the action plan videos that are available for you to use. So there's a whole bunch of information in here for you. The YouTube channel, again, is Realistic Support. I'm going to share that link in your comments box now. And the Realistic Users is really a place to share best practices and ask questions. And I'm putting that link in your box right now as well. We are just at 40 minutes. I know this is max capacity. So what I do want to know is, when are you putting this on your calendar? What day and time this week are you going to go in and make those 3 action plans? Sphere of influence, prospecting, and new listing. 3 plans. What day? I would block out about an hour to do it. Awesome. So Ken's going to start working on it tonight. Anna, Chris, Margaret, when are you guys going to work on this? So tomorrow, Margaret's got on her calendar tomorrow at 3. Lindsay and Lee and JR, when are you working on this? When on this week? And I got to put it on your calendar. Chris is working on it as we speak. He's in and out of the webinar working on it. It's okay if it's not today. I do really want to encourage you. There's actually been research done that says when people put items on their calendar, they're 70% more likely to actually complete those actions. So it's really important that you do put this on your calendar so that you are building your business. It will make your life easier. Awesome. So I do not have any other information for you today. That is the end of the webinar. I do want to make sure I'm going to hang out for a few minutes. If you have any questions at all, I would love to answer them. There is a short survey that's going to come out to you after this. I would love your feedback. Sam actually has a really good thing that he put in that chat box. He said, the income we receive is derived from the schedule we set, and it's absolutely true. Ken, 3 items to add to each plan. So I would add at least a follow-up item, so a recurring follow-up. How often are you following up with that contact? For a contact action plan like Sphere of Influence or potential prospecting, so your follow-up, I would set some kind of welcome email and set up a portal. And I would add them to your company. Likely has either a local events calendar or a newsletter campaign. And so I would add those to them. Sammy will be so happy with this. Top producer is good, but this does so much more. All righty. Any other questions? Thank you. Sam and Anna, where are you guys located at? I know you're with CB Schmidt, right? Yeah, that would be a horrible place to have to go. The Florida Keys, darn it. All right. If there are no other questions, I'm going to go ahead and end this webinar so that it can start rendering. Watch your email. I'm going to follow up with a few of you on that listing email and where it comes from so that we can make sure that goes out. I hope you have a fabulous, fabulous day, and we will talk to you soon.